witches, wolves, giants, and dragons. These are the monsters of fairy tales. They represent the dangers and evils of the world for children to understand. The role of the monster is to be defeated by the hero, who exhibits the traits we value in society: bravery, intelligence, kindness, and perseverance. As the hero wins against the monster, surely the child can confront and defeat their own. Magical stories teach very real moral lessons that are carried on into adulthood. But mankind's invention can exceed the imagination, and weapons of war can become more threatening than a fire-breathing dragon. On July 16, 1945, in the Jornada del Muerto desert of New Mexico, a new weapon was born. The first nuclear bomb to be detonated, nicknamed the Gadget, exploded with a force of between 15,000 to 20,000 tons of TNT. Gadget was detonated 15 seconds before 5:30 a.m. The brightness of the explosion was described by an observer as, "The whole country was lighted by a searing light with the intensity many times that of the midday sun." This new weapon was the result of 27 months of work by more than 600,000 people. It was the most destructive weapon mankind had ever created, designed to end the most destructive war mankind had ever waged. Robert Oppenheimer, the director of the Los Alamos Laboratory, and who is commonly known as the father of the atomic bomb, later described the feeling amongst the scientists and observers as the Gadget was successfully detonated.
He knew the world would not be the same. Few people laughed. Few people cried. Most people were silent. I remembered the line from the Hindu scripture, the Bhagavad Gita. Vishnu is trying to persuade the prince that he should do his duty, and to impress him takes on his multi-armed form and says, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." I suppose we all thought that, one way or another.
Oppenheimer was right. The world would not be the same. It wouldn't take long for this secret new weapon to change the world. In less than a month after Gadget was successfully detonated, 2 atomic bombs would be dropped on the Empire of Japan. The first bomb, nicknamed Little Boy, was dropped on August 6 at 8:15 a.m. on the Japanese city of Hiroshima. In the 4 months that followed, between 90,000 and 166,000 people are believed to have died from the effects of the bomb. This number would grow to over 200,000 people over the years, as more and more died from burns, radiation, and cancer. The second bomb, nicknamed Fat Man, was dropped on August the 9th at 11:02 a.m. on Nagasaki. Between 40,000 and 75,000 people died from the immediate effects of the bomb. However, by the end of the year, total deaths may have been as high as 80,000 people. The carnage, the complete devastation, the hordes of dead, caused by just 2 individual bombs was unthinkable. The Potsdam Declaration, which defined the terms for Japanese surrender, had been issued weeks before on July 26. At the very end of the proclamation, it said that the alternative for Japan if they would not surrender was prompt and utter destruction. This was what prompt and utter destruction looked like. On September 2nd, 1945, Japan formally surrendered, with Japanese representatives signing the official instrument of surrender. The Second World War had come to a close. It hadn't ended with a whimper, but with a bang. The most destructive bang made by human hands. The atom bomb would become an obsession of the era that followed, shaping and distorting all of civilization. It wouldn't take long for the Soviet Union to develop this technology. On August 29, 1949, the Soviet Union successfully tested their first atomic bomb. The world's 2 superpowers, ideological opposites, but armed with the same raw power of the atom, would determine the future of humanity. What is sometimes lost in the study of the strange conflict known as the Cold War is the psychological and sociological effects on the youngest generation to live in this new nuclear age. Children growing up after Hiroshima and Nagasaki had something new to fear: the complicated science behind the nuclear bomb, and what exactly it did when detonated, was hard for adults to fully comprehend. So how could children hope to understand it? How can you explain to children and adolescents that an entire city can be reduced to nothing in a matter of seconds? How can you explain radiation, a force that you can't see, smell, or feel, but that can kill you? Or that with enough nuclear weapons, the entire Earth could be destroyed? Science began to sound like magic, and weapons began to sound like monsters. In the May 1984 edition of the peer-reviewed journal Young Children, Dr. Judith Myers-Walls and Kathleen Fry-Miller described the psychological effect that knowledge of nuclear bombs might have on children. They may worry that nuclear warheads themselves will get angry and try to find someone to blow up. They could imagine a bomb under their bed or in their closet, or they could fear that they themselves could cause a nuclear war by misbehaving. How did children learn about nuclear weapons? What did they think? How did they cope? And how did fear shape them? This will be discussed as we begin to see the monster in the cloud.